Right, we've got the live stream going now. People, welcome everyone to February 7th infrastructure meeting. I've got apologies first. We have them from the Mayor and from Ms. Cook. They're away on other council business. And I also have apologies from Councillor Campbell and Bond. So can I have someone move those, please? Moved Leslie, seconded Darren. Put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
It's carried. That takes us to the public forum. Carolyn, would you like to come up to the, just so that we can get a microphone? Is that going to be easy enough? And we've got a video to play as well. Yes. You're going to instruct Malavika when you want the...
Yep. Can you hear me?
I'll just move that mic forward.
Tony's fixing it. Oh, someone is. Thank you.
Right.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Weston, kia ora, and I'm from Blind Citizens New Zealand, Southland branch, and with me is my husband Tony and also Victor West. And we're here to talk to you today about audio announcements on buses. And a little bit of history before the video, and that is to tell you that in 2013, December, there was a new bus service started in Invercargill, and it was launched, I think, around about the 3rd of December that year. And on that bus route, which I think there was 4 buses that went on the different routes throughout the city, there was audio announcements. That was fantastic because Invercargill was one of the first cities in New Zealand to have audio announcements on the buses, which helped blind people, people with low vision, and people who are deafblind. But not only just us, it also assisted new people who were in Invercargill and also tourists, so they knew where they were in the city. And then, so in 2014, we made a video, and we want to play you the 3rd section of that video, which is a good demonstration of what we had in those days on our buses. So can you play the video, please?
Some people wake up and check their phones. Check the weather, check the news.
I don't know what that is.
Getting around safely and comfortably is important for all of us. We've got some tips on how to help your blind passengers have a smooth trip, whether they're off to work, study, or party. Always remember, when assisting blind people, they all have different needs. Provide verbal explanations of what's about to happen. Ask, how can I help you? Give your arm when guiding. And remember, you may not be able to see that a passenger has a disability. Hannah arrives at the airport terminal using her long
Hello,
white
that's
cane
at the
to find
beginning of the
counter.
video. We need
A blind
the
person
3rd
may
clip.
want to know what seat.
That's the wrong clip.
That
There's...
was the link that you gave us, Carolyn.
Pardon?
That was the link.
I know, but I believe there is a way of getting just to the 3rd clip. My son did.
Have been
My
allocated,
son did.
or
It's
what gate their plane
we just want
departs
the
from.
buses. You don't want to see
You
the
will
taxis
need
or
to
the
tell a
airport,
blind
do you?
passenger that you're
Is there a way of fast forwarding?
Only to the next video.
Just hold it to the end. Just take it along. Yeah,
Mm.
scrub it to the end until you get to the
Now her needs are different. Sight guided. Ask weather.
Further.
Some cities use
Again.
toot the horn when you arrive.
It's
number
after
of
the
bus stop.
taxis.
By bus. In Invercargill, all bus stops have a braille sign attached on the print sign. It has the 0800 bus smart number on it, plus the number of the bus stop. Pam finds the right bus by using the audio announcement facility.
And Windsor Comet are due to depart in 10 minutes.
Andrea has problems hearing as well as being blind, but she stops to listen for that audio announcement, making sure she's at the right bus.
Connection. Kiwi Link and Windsor Comet are due to depart in 5 minutes.
If a blind person is using a white support cane, this means they require the floor to be lowered because they have a physical disability as well.
Hello, Andrea. Good to see you.
If a blind person is paying by cash, hand them the bus ticket and then verbally count out the change so they know how much money they have. Blind, vision impaired and deaf-blind passengers depend on hearing the audio announcements so they know where to get off the bus. If the audio announcements are not working, please tell the blind person when they pay so they're aware there's a technical fault. Some passengers may prefer to be guided onto the bus, like Hannah is here. A driver can ask if the person would like help scanning their bus smart card. Some people who have a little vision may wish to scan the card themselves if the driver shows them where the machine is. The machine beeps and the driver hands the card back, in this case telling Hannah how much money is left on it. Drivers should make sure that a blind passenger knows where they can find a vacant seat. Please ensure your blind passengers are seated before starting off on the bus.
How are you? I'm good. How are you? Good, thank you. Is there a seat next to you? Is there?
Some passengers may ask to be let off between designated bus stops. Blind passengers will listen for the nearest stop audio announcement and then may call to the driver, reminding them where they'll want to get off. This ensures they get off where they need to. Here, the driver confirms with the blind passenger that this is the location where they wish to get off. If for any reason you're unable to stop the bus at the edge of the curb, please let your blind or vision impaired passengers know, particularly if there's something that's going to be obstructing their passage to the footpath. As a bus driver, you may not always know if you have a passenger with a vision impairment, as not everyone uses a white cane or guide dog. So don't be surprised if a passenger asks you about audio announcements or where they can find a vacant seat. Remember that if you have a passenger who requires the floor to be lowered, to do this and tell the blind person before they get off the bus. Everybody has arrived at the destination safely and with the help you've provided. It's time to get on with the party.
So you can turn it off now. That's just us saying goodbye. So that was a training video. However, I just wanted to show you that we used to have audio announcements on our buses. 2020, they changed the bus routes and the audio announcements weren't appropriate any longer. So we asked if we could have the audio announcements back. We were told that yes, they will come back in time, but it's now 2.5 years later and we still haven't seen any audio announcements. People like Vic West uses the buses all the time. Hannah uses the buses. I used to use the buses. I'm not sure how to get on the bus now. But anyway, there's blind people and vision impaired people and deaf-blind people still using buses here in Invercargill. A lot of the other cities here in New Zealand are starting to put audio announcements on their buses. And we had it. I'm pretty sure that Blind Citizens gave, I know we gave Eddie Cook from ICC a little bit of difference award, and I think we might have given one here to you as well, but I'm not sure. I can't remember. But anyway, it's really important now because with the New Zealand Accessibility Bill for all that's being in House at present with Select Committee, and also the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. You have an obligation as a council to provide accessible transport for all people, including blind, vision impaired and deaf-blind people. So I just want to say that whatever happens in the future with regards to public transport, it's important that that transport is accessible to us all, and I know that Vic would really appreciate it, as well as other people that use the bus. So basically that's all I need to say at this stage, but we would like to be, Blind Citizens Southland Branch would like to be involved with any new co-design on the new public transport for Invercargill. Thank you.
Thanks for that, Carolyn. We've got about 3 or 4 minutes left for questions, so I can open up to anyone who wants to ask a question of Carolyn?
Not for Caroline, but she has asked a question of council. Are we going to be able to get back to her with an answer?
I think as chair, I'm going to ask that we have something either comes back to this committee or to Carolyn in a month before a month is up. So either of a status is that.
Chair, we can bring a report back to the next committee meeting.
Yep. Okay, Carolyn,
Thank you.
we'll actually advise you before it goes to print. So
Great, thank you very much. And as I say, we would certainly, as an organisation, like to be involved in co-designing the new bus services that we're looking at in the near
Okay.
future.
right, we have a question from Councillor Dermody.
Yeah, just would be interested in how user-friendly our city is, not just in buses, but wider, and particularly with the CBD for people with vision impairment, those sorts of things.
There has been some criticisms about the mall. I know some people, I personally like the mall, the colour schemes and that is quite good, but I know that I have a friend who's vision impaired and finds that the Farmers building is very bright, and she said you can't go there anymore, it's too glary for her. It's very difficult talking about the outside of the CBD at this stage because there's still a lot of the landscaping. I'm not sure. Vicar, you have trouble with the water gardens and the rain gardens, and do you step into them by mistake? Because I know some people are concerned about that.
No, I haven't been anywhere near that so far.
Yeah, we're trying to keep people away from that area until it's finished. So it's a little bit early yet to know how people are going to get on. But I know there is some concern about the rain gardens, and there's no indication, like no tactile. Maybe need some more tactiles indicators on the ground to let people know they're coming to a garden. If it's like now that's pouring rain, you don't want someone to step into a garden and get wet feet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, one more question from Councillor Arnold.
I may have missed it, Carolyn, but I'm just wondering, were you given a reason, did you mention the reason why they said they stopped the hoistings on the buses?
Well, they didn't give us a reason, but our reasoning was that Eddie Cook was a person who used to be managing the buses for, the public transport and that in 2013, and we certainly lobbied this council around that time for audio announcements. It took quite a while for him to understand it, but he certainly did, and he got that underway. But once the routes were changed in 2020, then of course the audio announcements became obsolete, and I don't know why council at that stage, when changing the division, they're looking at the new bus routes, why they didn't actually find out how that was done previously. Contacted Eddie Cook. I don't know if he still works there, but he used to work at the railway station for the Kiwi Rail in Wellington, and they might have been able to contact him and find out how he had done that. But it certainly was great. I know that the first time I experienced his audio announcements on a bus was in Switzerland, and it was in German, and I actually knew that we were in the right suburb because I recognised the name of the suburb even though I couldn't speak German, so that's quite cool.
Thanks, Carolyn. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much, Carolyn. We appreciate you coming in.
Thank you.
That's fine, Councillor Scott. Right, that takes us now to the minutes of the Infrastructure Committee held on 6th of December 2022. Can I have someone move that they are true and correct, please? Moved, Councillor Boyle, second, Pania. Before I put that motion, there's a part of the minutes that talk about a waste net review being completed by 31 March. Now, Erin, do you just want to update us that may not be able to quite be done?
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair. I spoke last year about us engaging a review of WasteNet, both of the governance arrangements and a little bit of a brief look at whether or not WasteNet was fit for purpose. Just in terms of there being some change around the elected members who are representing the various different councils at the table, some of them weren't appointed at the time that we made that agreement. So we just want to take a little bit of extra time just to bring that committee back together and talk everybody through why we're doing the review and the process, just to make sure that everybody is comfortable and we don't bring a review back with people sort of questioning what was the purpose of that. So just in order to be able to do that, we're probably going to need to push that timeline out by about a month, just to bring that meeting together and make sure everybody is on board.
Will we have a meeting, a first official meeting for this year of WasteNet by end of Feb or mid-March, or?
Possibly end of Feb, just getting everybody's calendars might be a bit tight. I would expect definitely by the end of March.
Okay. Right. Any questions around the minutes? In that case, I'm going to put the motion that is true and correct. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. Thank you. Temporary road closures for the Serve to City that all us councillors will be doing. Who would like to speak to that?
That'll be Russell.
Russell.
Whilst Russell's getting set up there, I will just note though that we do need to make a slight change to the recommendations. Under recommendation 3, we in error didn't list the roads that were going to be closed. It is in the body of the report, but so that the recommendation is standalone, we should also include those. So Malavik has been given a list of those roads just to include in that recommendation.
Okay, excellent. Thanks, Russell.
Good afternoon, councillors. This is a reasonably straightforward procedural matter that we need, I guess, technical approval to actually shut the road for the Surf to City event on the 12th of March. Happy to receive any questions. It's something that we've done regularly and has been well organised. It is a little bit disruptive to the Otatara people, but we have worked through that, and it's been pretty successful over the years with a series of measures that help people get through it.
Councillor Ludlow.
Nothing different to previous years, Russell. I'm seeing how stellar the Otatara residents have become to that disruption. I'm happy to move the 3 recommendations, noting that the third includes the streets listed.
Yeah, we have the streets listed. Second, or would you like to speak?
I would like to speak.
Yeah.
I would like to declare conflict and remove myself from the discussion and participation.
Oh, because you're running, or because no?
No, because I sit on.
You're right.
I sit on Active Southland, and Surf to City is an event that belongs to Active Southland.
That is noted.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Leslie. That's seconded. Any further questions, comments for Russell? In that case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. Thanks, Russell. You're probably staying for the next one. The stopping of road, Bluff Highway, Green Hills. As well as Heather. Welcome, Heather.
We have a number of proposed road stopping in various forms. So the Bluff Highway Green Hills is a road stopping which we have previously had to council, but through that earlier process we identified that we had a land area incorrect in it. So to make sure that we actually followed the procedure, we've withdrawn that and we wish to start that process again with the correct area. All those things end up with the Minister of Lands as a sign-off should it be approved, so we really felt that it was in the best interest to start the process again. So this is really starting a process of consultation with those people in that section of land. So it's a piece of unformed road reserve which has land parcel all the way around it. So we just need to go through the formal process under the Local Government Act to advertise it and start that process of consultation. And depending on what feedback we get, we bring it back to council for consideration in due course.
Okay, do we have questions for Russell? Leslie?
No question. I'm happy to move the recommendations, Mr. Chair.
Both the recommendations, yep. Can I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Pania. Any comments or questions? Pretty straightforward that it's increased in size dramatically.
Yes.
In that case, I'll put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? That is carried. We move to Greenpoint Road.
So the second road stopping is right at the start. We're seeking approval from council to stop another portion of Unthorn Road, which has all the right areas in it. Thank you. Again, it is a parcel of road which is not being utilised as road. We've received a request from a neighbouring property owner that would like to potentially, once the road has been stopped, potentially utilise that and adjoin that to their land. There's very little else to say about the process. We're just seeking approval to start that process again.
Okay, that's straightforward. I'll move the three recommendations. Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Boyle. Are there any comments or questions? No? In that case, put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. Thank you, Heather and Russell. Peter, we have a solid waste update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I suppose this is a continuation of the previous reports. The same graphics showing different variances to our projections. We're currently running at a 0.05% difference for waste to landfill, which is positive. And to make this quick, could I just accept the report as read and ask if you have any questions?
Okay. Yeah, I'll open the floor for questions. Now, I was looking at some figures here per capita. I'm just trying to find them. I saw them here. What are we per capita?
About 100 grams.
No, for waste, how many kilos? Now, how many kilos are we tracking at?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We were, the previous report was 616 kilograms, I believe. Of this per capita, I don't have it off the top of my head.
Okay, no, that's okay. We're just looking at the previous waste net target. Started off 650, but we'll get to those when we get waste net back moving. Pania.
Just one wee question. I noticed with the way the landfill tracking sort of like increased, but I was just looking at the recycling.
Yeah.
Slightly, there's a decrease. I mean, recycling is something that when we were just talking about earlier, around how we sort of change attitudes.
Sure. So the recycling has actually increased slightly.
Increased?
Yeah, it's increased very, very slightly.
Oh, is that 2% below December?
Yeah. So for the month we were a bit lower, but overall we're higher. Yeah.
Okay. Further questions for Peter? No. In that case, the recommendation, we received the report, note the waste to landfill data and trends, and note the recycling data and trends. Can I have someone move that? Thanks, Leslie. Seconder. Thank you, Grant. I'll put that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Moves us to the activities report. Right, Erin, do you want to speak to?
Speak to the activities.
Yeah, well, anything that you stand out. Some of it's straightforward,
Yep.
And covering the Reedy beach access and stuff. Just noting the Stead Street reseal.
Yes, so probably one of the key ones I just want to draw attention to is the fact that we have had a better run of the Arete Beach access this year. There was some proactive maintenance and additional monitoring put in place after receiving feedback from council. We understand that the weather's probably also been a little bit generous to us though this year, so there's probably been a little bit of a combination of us putting in place some more proactive maintenance as well as the weather causing a little bit of difference around how the sand moves into the low spots on that access road this year. But either way, we certainly haven't had the problems that we experienced last year over the summer period, despite the quite dry weather. The one that I did just wish to speak to as well was the Stead Street reseal. That was a piece of work that we were a little bit concerned about the impact on the community. We've had very good feedback though around how quickly the team were able to get that work done, and that the community only experienced one afternoon really of disruption, that the team got in there, made sure that the reseal was done in the afternoon and evening, took advantage of those long daylight hours, and had a good run of weather, were able to get that completed in one evening, which was a great outcome. The other thing I wish to speak to, which isn't written in the activity report because it's a bit of a moving feast, is just an update around our water awareness. We're obviously getting a little bit of rain at the moment, which will be pushing our need for water restrictions away from us. But I guess I'd just remind everybody that we do find that unless we continue to get those consistent lots of rain, one lot of rain isn't necessarily enough to stop us from having water restrictions this year. But we'll continue to monitor that. We definitely don't expect to be having them in the coming weeks the way we would have been a few weeks ago if we hadn't had these periods of rain. But we'll continue to monitor whether or not we do need them, possibly later in February or early March.
Thank you. I see that Scottish Hall is competing with Splash Palace. Are we confident of the plumbing in the Scottish Hall? You know that obviously we've got a burst valve, but is it do we go through and actually make sure that it's not old?
Yes, so the team have advised that they don't believe that it was a lack of maintenance issue. It was just an unfortunate event.
Okay.
But a significant one nonetheless.
Right. Do I have we have some questions here. We're going to start Grant, Trish, then Leslie. Thanks.
Yeah, just with respect to the successful application for the funding for cycling. So note that the 2018 cycling strategy it's referenced to, has there been any updates in terms of with Cycling South and around their strategy for cycling going forward, or is that still relevant, that 2018 report?
I'll ask Russell to come to the table and speak to that one since it's his bread and butter.
Afternoon again. In terms of the strategy, no, we haven't updated the strategy, but the strategy still remains to be reasonably valid, and the areas that we've been working on are still those focus areas. It's one of those pieces of strategy work that we are looking to start to work forward with in the next few months with the new elected members as representatives, and making sure that the governance group around Ride Southland still becomes appropriate. The strategy is really important for when we apply for government funding, that it actually starts to align with those the strategies of I guess those other funding streams where we can actually get quite a significant amount of money. The transport choices package is, I guess, one indication of an area where with those right elements in there, you can be quite successful in getting funding for your community projects.
So the strategy document was useful in getting the funding, but we have the opportunity to change potentially some of those cycling strategies.
I think all those will actually grow as we actually learn more about how we want to have a, I guess, active transport available to the community in the wider sense.
And Cycling Southland is involved in that strategy?
Cycling Southland has one of the seats at the table, yes. Right. But I guess that's part of that governance group structure about how we might want to progress and change it.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Trish.
With regard to the housing statistics there for December, I've got a couple of questions. So there are, do you take everyone who comes to you and put it on a waiting list?
So there's a prioritisation framework that the team work through as to, I guess, who gets priority on that list.
Yeah, and so, I mean, I see that there's no houses that vacated. So with 89 on, you know, this could just grow exponentially. Do those people have an understanding of how long the wait is or could be?
That's my understanding. Heather, I don't know if you've got anything further to add, but if you've got anything to add, otherwise.
So every applicant who makes an application, whether it's accepted or whether it's declined, we give them a reason for decline, and that's whether they meet our criteria, and that's age, their asset eligibility and their income eligibility. When they're approved and they're placed on the waiting list, we give them an indication of the length of time that potentially they will be on the waiting list for, depending on our current numbers on the waiting list.
So with 18, no, it's just I have a real problem with this, thinking of people sitting there, you know, and it's their time is getting decreased, yep. And this 89 places, people still waiting.
So that's the total waiting list on our priority list.
Yeah.
Those are the people who are eligible for a unit now. Those are the ones that are of more concern because
yes. So how long? Oh, you don't know how long a piece of string is, obviously.
Currently, our waiting list is getting up to about 18 months
right.
for priority list.
Right. So even though there's been no one go out in that month, it actually can be faster than that, I suppose.
Unfortunately, we can't say how many are going to become available.
It's just quite concerning that there's so many, isn't it, really? Yeah. Thanks, Heather. Thank
you, Heather. Leslie.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Mine was also a aged care housing question, but slightly different, Heather.
Oh, sorry. Let me come back.
You might need to. I was just going to ask, and I realise it's the priority and secondary number combined to make 89, but first, is that an unusually high figure? And secondly, if it is, can you give us some idea of why it's a higher figure than it would normally be for a December?
So I looked at the figures for December, and I've also asked our housing officer to contact people who have been on our waiting list for longer than 12 months to find out whether they are still wanting to be on the waiting list, and she's going through that at this stage. It has got a little bit higher, but that could be just the circumstances at the moment. We're hoping that it will come down.
There's no particular trend showing up from people who are desperate because they've tried every rental possibility and so forth. You're not getting a particular feedback on? Not
particularly. We are offering, we're giving advice of where they might be able to find alternative accommodation. Unfortunately, it just seems to be the way things are at the moment.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions on the activity report? And that being the case, then we have two recommendations, one to receive the report, 2A, B and C as stated on the screen. Can I please have someone move those? Thank you, Grant. Seconded, Councillor Scalp. I'm going to put those motions. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? That is carried. That is the end of the public part of this meeting. We now wish to move into public excluded for the reasons of there are 4 items: confirmation of minutes, road stopping of Lagan Street, Bluff, disposal planned in Mersey Street, and potential disposal of endowment land in 91 Ern Street. Can I have someone please move we go into PE? Move Councillor Skelt, seconded Councillor Dermody. Put the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, that's passed. Thanks very much.